This production contains scenes of a sexual nature, which some viewers may find offensive.
I can't find arousing.
Hello, I'm Emma, and I'm here at the cast and crew roundtable of the Audible original Becoming Meg Dashwood by the extraordinary Rebecca Humphries. I invite you to listen to this conversation because it's one of the best ones I have ever had, and I'm very old now. We talk about love, lust, money, sex, power, and obviously Austen.
And that's how it's done.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing?
I'm really tense.
That was great.
So we're here to talk about Margaret Dashwood,
Yes.
who is the youngest daughter of the Dashwood sisters in the hit book and film, Sense and Sensibility. What do we know about her? You're probably a good person to answer that question.
Not very much.
No.
Because Austen wasn't particularly interested in her, I don't think. She was there, but she's very sketchily drawn, isn't she? She's not really, anything about her.
No. There's a sort of sense that perhaps she's a daydreamer, that perhaps she's, Austen hints quite wryly that she's probably not going to be either as smart or accomplished.
Yeah, she's sort of
as
a little
either.
bit dim,
Yes,
possibly.
she's a bit dim.
Yeah.
She's a bit dim.
If there's sense and there's sensibility, there's a sense that she's maybe the worst combination of both her sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a passing sentence
Yeah.
in the first page, and then
Yeah, she's often really quite cruel about women, Austen, in the best possible way. She just says, bit,
Yeah.
not the sharpest. And that's, yeah.
But it's sort of excused because she's so young as well, so she sort of throws that in. So we don't really know a lot about her, and there wasn't a lot to go off, really, which is a joy because when you get
Why was
approached...
she somebody that you wanted to delve into?
Well, actually, it was Audible. It was their idea to write something about
okay.
Margaret. They had this vague idea that they wanted to write it about the sister that we don't know anything about. At which point, sort of go back, realise there's nothing there, go, oh, great, okay, so I can do anything.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they said that, I thought, well, I don't know if I'm the right person to write this because I'm actually not that big a period drama fan. But there are some that I love. My heart and always
Thank God.
yeah.
But actually, there were just so many of them that are going around at the moment. And I was like, I don't actually know if I'm that interested in the message that I feel like they're still peddling at this time. I'm not actually, I think I'm sort of a bit over that. And actually that kind of message sort of hasn't served me very well in my own life. The sense of meeting a bloke and everything will be fine.
Yes.
So when I got approached to write it, I was like, oh, she has to be unmarried and she has to decide to be unmarried because that's an interesting concept.
There's more possibilities.
There's more
isn't there?
possibility.
Yeah.
Then you start asking questions like, okay, why is that? Why might that be? And you think, well, actually, Jane Austen didn't get married, and nor did her sister, and they lived in a house full of women for the rest of their lives. So maybe there are elements of her story that we bring in and start to actually unpick it and ask more questions about it.
Very clever. And I think for me, in terms of that not being interested in period dramas, I think that's exactly the right person to write a period
No
drama.
reference.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there is no reference, and there's that modern sensibility where you open things up that the audiences can be accessible to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's an understanding of now that
Yes.
you bring to a period drama that people can be included. Did Audible, was it the first draft, second draft? How many drafts did they make you do?
It all just sort of fell out of me, the story, really. And I got told off by Greg Wise at the read-through when he asked me this, that it fell out of me. He said, don't ever say that. You are completely undermining your process. I was like, oh, I sort of am, aren't I? But it's sort of true. Like, when I know that I know that the idea is good, when it just goes, oh, and this, and this, and this, and this. And somehow it just
Pieces
sort of all
come together,
works.
don't they? Yeah.
So then you go, oh, that bit from the beginning. I was like, fine.
Yeah.
But the actual process of writing it is the slog. You know, that's the bit where you have to actually sit down and write dialogue and write boring lines sometimes, like goodbye. You know, do you know what I mean? Not everything's genius. And then I handed it in as a first draft to Audible, fully expecting them to come back with loads of edits and notes, like it happened with my book when I wrote that. And they just loved it. I mean, it was really bizarre. It sort of was a bit of a channel, this whole thing, but sometimes that's the best, you know, like sometimes it's just really nice for people to just let the creative be creative.
Absolutely.
You know? So often you'll hand in drafts and people will just want their voice in it. In some way.
Oh.
And that will involve turning it into something that it was never meant to be or never intended to be, and the message is diluted, and suddenly, you know, but they were incredibly supportive, and they just got it, and they were like, no, we want you to just say what it is that you want to say. So of course, it's been incredibly liberating, and it means that loads of people are attracted to it because it feels liberating and creative, and what you're putting out into the world comes back in. And look at us. I mean, we're having these conversations about it because it felt like no one went, oh, you can't say that, or you can't talk about that, or maybe this would be more interesting, this thing that has occurred to me.
Yes, absolutely. Good for Audible.
Good for Audible.
Absolutely.
Well
yeah.
done, Audible.
Here's to them, because that actually that is unusual. It's
Yeah,
very
it is.
unusual.
Yeah.
I speak as one who has rewritten so many bloody series
Oh my God,
over my life.
Well, we were talking about it, weren't we, and saying that it would have been a mistake to have sort of taken myself back to, you know, the 1800s, the 19th century, to write the way that Jane Austen would have seen the world, because I know too much now, and it would have been censoring what I now know about the world. Because Jane Austen didn't write about the 1600s, you know, she didn't go back and censor what she wrote about everything that she knew. And so it made sense to do exactly the same thing.
You bring the past forward in that way, don't you?
And also, I feel like you shed a light on the things that were actually there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so much of a kind of mythos about period dramas and stuff that I know, like, because we did Lady Macbeth together, and there was a lot of talk about, like, from quite silly people being like, but there wasn't any black people in that time, and it's like, oh God, how mistaken you are. Like, there was everyone. There were women who chose to live alone. There were women who loved other women. There were there were so many people. So it's actually quite interesting when you do see work that still doesn't include that, because that was as much a part of society as it is now. It's not as
But it was occult, wasn't it? It was hidden. It was hidden
yeah.
and not written about.
It was
And I think
unrecorded.
one of the most wonderful things about this as well is that it feels to me like I'm taking a journey from Austen, from the Regency period, into my own period, and it's like a bridge. You've written a bridge. Because most of the time we're watching those things and it's like they're over there.
Exactly.
That we have no connection to them whatsoever, which is one of the reasons why they're so comforting.
Yes.
Because we don't have to trouble ourselves with all the stuff that, oh God, that must have been awful, or that must have been, why couldn't they vote? We're not thinking those questions. We think, oh, empire lines are really quite flattering. You know, and there's all that going on in your mind and thinking, oh, look, and they're happy ever after. That's really nice. But this takes us and connects us to her and to her very, you know, sharp, incisive and curious and censorious and critical mind.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky with that because, of course, we got to be inside her mind, so we actually got to see it from first person perspective. It was interesting when I started writing it because all of the stuff I cared about is just there. And when you write something original, it is everything that you care about at the time. Like, it's like a time capsule of where you were in your life in that moment. And this one, you know, there's choosing not to marry in there. There's Me Too in there. There's being an actress who hasn't got much money, and like, how do you navigate that with your moral code? And it's all in there. There's, oh my God, there's, you know, the characters of the women in the den. You know, there's this woman who's escaping this life that she left the north of England from, and she is this spiritualist who just wasn't understood, and like, she's got this connection to nature. And then there's another woman who I just wanted to write a woman in a period drama who's poor, but she loves money. And I was like, I want people to start talking about money and like how actually important that was then and still is, you know.
Absolutely.
And she just is completely unabashed about it. And she's really beautiful. She has all this pretty privilege. So she's like, well, that makes sense to me. That's how I'll make money. Fine. You know, so I wanted it to just feel unabashed in that way.
And each woman is empowered.
And they all have
Wherever
they all have a
they are,
superpower.
do you know
But
what I mean?
they're also imprisoned by the circumstances of patriarchy as well. So
Yes.
they're empowered, but within that very,
Yes.
very repressive, which we, frankly, we still are. You know, and it actually feels to me like it's getting worse.
Yes.
So this is more important than ever. These discussions are more important than ever. You know.
I just loved what you said about when we're not living in that era, we have a choice about what we notice and what we don't notice about that era. I mean, Jane Austen didn't live in Soho. Jane Austen probably didn't have any in-depth conversations with sex workers. But sex workers were really active and really politically active in this period, and they were working out how to, within the confines of patriarchy, be as safe as they could. And you've written a group of women who are giving each other as much safety as they can, even though they're living in a dangerous world. And I think that's so beautiful that, yes, there is so much compromise involved, but you're completely turning on its head some of the kind of moral prurience around sex and love and industry, commerce, life. How, is it only through marrying a rich husband, or is it in fact through using what I have in other ways, as you were saying, with that very beautiful but very poor woman who desperately wants to be rich?
Yeah. Do the best you have with the tools you're given.
Exactly.
Well, I guess that as well, like, those 4 women in that house, like, I really wanted to stuff in to those scenes as much as I could in terms of their story. I wanted each of them to be the sort of part that you would go, I want to play that part. And like like hand a script to an actress and then not know which one they want to play the most. And like that's the dream, because so often it's just like, oh, that one. That one's someone's wife. And like, that's someone's wife. Who's on the end of the phone going, are you okay? Like, no.
Yes. Or don't do that brave thing. Please don't do it. Stay with me and the family. Please don't do the brave thing. Don't do the brave. Think of me. I need you more. Yeah.
When are you home, honey?
When are you home, honey?
Great parts.
Yeah. And I wanted there to be, to be honest, like when it came to like just writing the period drama of it all, I was like, okay, what would I want to see if I was handed a script?
Right.
I would want them to have periods.
Yeah.
I would want them to have bad sex. Yeah. I would want them to be naked in a way that was non-sexual. Like, so the first thing you see when you get to the den is Hester gets out of the bath and she's naked, and they're really used to it. Like, they're okay with that. And never, when Meg is having sex with a man, is it sexualized. It's always from her point of view. Like, she's always like, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
She's the one. We had that really good day, didn't we, in the booth, where we were like, it needs to be really clear that she's in charge of this. So it just became a script where it was sort of going from point to point of those things. That I just wanted to make sure we're there.
I think there's also something that I noticed, especially in that den, in that house, is this the wildness of women. Like there's, and I think it's also the song, which it was like so much fun to do. That was a really good day.
Best day.
A really fun day.
Best day ever.
But like I think, again, thinking of period dramas, there's a kind of comforting, regal, straight uprightness about it, which, there are plenty of films now where you see that breaking out. But in terms of like the sisterhood of women in that wild, kind of intimidating way for some people who see it, there is something really exciting about that within the context of a period drama where you don't see that, because that existed as much
because
as
of course
anything
it
else.
did. Of course it existed. If it existed now, of course it existed then, because we're just human beings who want to connect and who can do so in quite a
well, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't
way.
survive. No woman would survive without it. There's no other. There's no other recourse. There's no other safety net. There's nothing but that. And that's what's so wonderful about it. And what that extraordinary net, the roots underneath the ground that really connect them and make them so important to one another, and everything means so much.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
Yes, and the relationships aren't, they're real.
Which also means they're complicated and they're full of tension. And what I also love is that every one of those 4 women is a bit of an arse at some point. Really doesn't behave in the best way. With wildness sometimes comes carelessness, sometimes comes, not looking after the people that you start to take for granted a little bit.
And also the contradictions within their characters. I think what was really interesting for me with Nellie was that idea of going from like a starving actress to someone of note, and how your moral compass shifts slightly when you start earning
your
money.
Politics.
Like how actually that is a real thing. I've experienced that, where I've gone, wait, remember where I'm a working class girl, like I've worked long enough and I'm in a good place, but like with that you have to constantly re-educate yourself to be like you don't forget where you come from, not just for you but for your community of people, and like that is a really fascinating. It felt very real.
Well, for Nellie in particular,
Yeah.
I wanted her. I always wanted her to be right about her talent.
Yeah.
Like she's right. She thinks she's really good, and she is.
Yeah.
And she's just not. Yeah. And she's just not getting the opportunities. So then she has to find a way to do that. Again, like Nellie's big flaw is always going to be her ego, just the same as Meg's is her anger, which she finds it really difficult to control and isn't in charge of, and actually kind of loves it when she isn't in charge as well.
I was going to say, and all I have for you is like just massive thanks for having the bravery to put those women on paper. Like I think it's sadly really rare that you get to, as women, I guess, like play messy. Like you just don't get it. Like you get like one note or like maybe two. Whereas like you've had the bravery throughout this script across the board. Like every single character is so deeply complex and authentically female and human, but female. Like, and it's just been an absolute joy to embrace those words and those women, and it's just sadly quite rare.
Thank you. That's so nice. I guess that like that came from being an actress and trying so hard, doing plays and being in theatre, trying to push up against it and go, no, you don't understand, male director. The more of an arsehole I am, the more the women in the audience will understand. The more they will relate. I come up to him and he was like, we don't want to make her dislikable. I was like, trust me. People will be like, at last, someone is allowed to be a mess and, you know, look a mess and be a mess and do horrible things because we're pushed, you know, we're pushed to the limit.
But I'd internalised that as well. Like, I think it took me to get to the point of wanting to play someone who might be unlikable and being, and like getting out of my own way and being like, oh no, that's a positive thing. Like that's a real thing. Whereas like for whatever reason, I'd been like, oh, but women are there to be liked, or like I'm supposed to be the good guy. I'm the like thread of good here. Whereas actually, like, why can't I have elements of
and a loud
bad,
voice,
like what is labelled bad? Like, why can't they be present?
Yeah, if I go back in time to when I was, say, 30, and I kept wondering why I felt so frustrated.
I just love how you just lowered your voice there. I'm going to take you back to a time.
I'm taking you back, so long, back into the mist when there were still horses on the streets and great big steaming piles of dung and people throwing their shit out of windows. Yes, those days, Golda. Try,
the dramatic
just reach for it. 36
will.
years ago.
Here we are, everybody.
Anyway, so when I was 30, about then, I started a women's group, and my first question to the group of writers, directors and actors was, what's the female heroine? Because I'm fed up with identifying with Harrison Ford. I'm tired of identifying with the male journey, because the male journey is clearly not my journey. I can't do that journey, but I want to do that journey because it's much more interesting than the women's journey, which is mostly as we have discussed. So what I really wanted to say to you on camera, Bex, was that this question about the female heroine, which was asked by other great 19th century novelists such as George Eliot, etc., they really did investigate, but they were still dealing with so much stuff. There was no ready answers. This group of extremely intelligent actor, writer, all these women just said, well, don't know. But this story is several of those journeys, the female heroine journeys, and they're complicated, hidden, subtle, strange, you know, often quite bizarre. Strange. You know, it's so important that, isn't it, the complexity? Because we're so unwilling to recognise how complex we are, and we keep telling this same vulnerable story. One person gets to save the world. What the hell is that? Another really important aspect to it is the way in which the women look after one another and support one another. This is a deep, deep part of the female story. All the way through time is how we've survived. We wouldn't have survived without that. Whereas the male hero story is all about the male doing something on their own and being marvellous. And we keep telling that story, but actually the only time anything really changes for the better is when large groups of people come together and do it together. So this story is full of female heroines, but they work together. the question, which was asked all those years ago, has not been answered many times, but this is an answer.
I would actually say, like, it's always so interesting when there's a lot of female-led films where they are the hero that actually just follows the same format as the male one. So it's like there is, or there's a lot of replacing, which I've always found quite interesting. Just make new ones, but just make new ones, please. But that kind of thing, I think that's where the tide seems to be shifting, and you're a part of that, and we're a part of that, where we're going, okay, well, what is the feminine response to this situation? Because it is inherently different, and it should be celebrated as much as the other. And we've just been dealing with a really sharp imbalance for so long, and it's never. I've always said, like, it's never like take away. So we just add. Yeah, we just need to add some more perspectives. Yeah. That's it. We're not threatening the spot. We're just adding more. Stuff. And I think
everybody can be involved.
Everyone can be involved.
Exactly.
Yes, everybody can be involved. Without, as you say, not excluding male, female, whatever, whoever.
And whatever kind of male, female you might be. I was just remembering that one thing I felt like I did know about Margaret, and this is drawing on the life that you gave her in the film, is that she's a tomboy. And as a little baby queer, there was this little spark of, we're around. We climb trees.
Yes.
We like telescopes. Maybe we want to be explorers. And so then picking up her life these many, many years on, the first time I read your script, it was just kind of, here she is. She's blossomed. And of course this is where she is. Of course she's storming out of a house, slamming the door behind her and refusing to sit down and eat pudding with some ridiculous man that she's not even interested in. That is absolutely where I see that child growing up to.
Do you know what? As soon as they said to me, we need you to write about Margaret Dashwood, I was like, oh, she's queer.
That was what I wanted to know. Like, when did that
I was like, oh, she's queer. But I was like, that makes total sense. And of course that makes sense why she's so angry. Because she doesn't know what it is. She doesn't know what she's experiencing. She had to leave polite society. She had to leave her family because she really had to. It was only plausible that she would kind of find out more about herself if she met people who are from a different social background who don't have those rules. When she meets these women, she's suddenly like, oh, I'm not the wrong person. I was just in the wrong place.
Yes.
And then it just all went from there, really. But it just made total sense to me.
But what's great is it's still incredibly difficult for her to access her sexuality.
Yes, it doesn't happen.
And I think it's not like she walks in and she goes, oh, you're cool. Oh, yes, oh, no, that's fine then. Okay, let's have sex. It's not. It's so hard because that's
the real story.
That's exactly right, and
absolutely face their sexuality. Honestly and unapologetically.
I know, I understand that because my uncle was gay, but at a time when it was not allowed. Right. And so my fight when I was young, really young. Sorry, going back in time again to the horse-drawn carriages.
Back in time.
Going back to when I was 19. Okay. I was shocked when I came into the world and realised that being homosexual was generally frowned upon. I had the opposite journey because all my family's friends, because they were in the theatre, were gay. Right. So I literally had the opposite. I came out and said, what do you mean? What?
How interesting.
Yeah, really interesting when I think about it now. But I think it's the ultimate cruelty. And my uncle never had any life. No, so anything that keeps on, because we have to stretch these boundaries and keep stretching them, because it's so easy for them to just snap back.
But it was one of those moments of like,
guys.
I mean, that was it. Sorry, yeah.
I just went, watch that back. I'm like, dissociated.
It's good. I like this conversation. It's very good.
Some kind of witchcraft.
Yes, well, there will be.
Women getting together.
Seriously.
That was one of those weird moments of time travel. Reading that script was how totally fresh that sense of the impossibility, the not knowing how to speak about it, the not daring to even look at that person once you've realised what your feelings are. I mean, that's me in the early noughties, the 80s, 50s. It's just totally fresh, exactly the same feelings. Isn't that terrifying? But also so, I mean, such a connecting point.
As a director, is that kind of like, how did you, is that the way in? Was that the way in for you? That kind of sense of connection to it?
Yeah,
a nostalgic history of your own, you know.
I think that sense of complete recognition, yes, that was very strongly a way in. The first read I did, I sat down, my back against a sofa, and I just read it in one. And by the end, obviously, it was just like, X, what have you done? But also, it is also in the complexity of who all of those women are. It just gives such a gift to go, okay, here's a set of relationships, and here's a set of women learning about themselves as they work out their lives together. That was the huge draw. I mean, it's just so funny as well.
Did you know each other's work before?
No.
Wow.
Met through the script.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Did you also always know that you wanted to graduate these characters? Like, did you know that you wanted
Yes, it was
that
really, really
shift?
important that the first time they had sex, they weren't young.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Like,
we loved that, didn't we?
I love that. I love that.
Important, because I was like, sorry, I'm 38 years old. I would love to think that the best sex of my life is yet to come.
Yeah.
And like every other narrative that I've ever seen in my life tells me that I should have met the love of my life when I was 25.
Yeah.
Like, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sick of it. I'm done. Like, actually, there's a sense, and we know it's true as well. We know that people get married again when they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Like, happens all the time. So why aren't we experiencing it in narrative form? So it was really important that you've got that line, the best sex of my life happened. Although the first time I had sex, I was 40. It's one of the lines, and it's like, oh, I've had encounters before, but like this is different. This is a different thing. It's not a queer story; it's a love story. Really, they're just women.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
great.
and so it was exactly like Jane Austen's writing. It's just that happens that they're in love and they're the same gender. I mean, there really isn't much to it. It's not that hard. And in fact, it made it somehow richer and more interesting to me personally, but also I think it will to the listener, especially listeners that think that it's going to be for queer people or just about queerness, and it isn't. It's about
everything.
Yeah, it's about everything. It's about being desperately in love with someone. That's it.
It's funny, isn't it, thinking about queerness being in tension with Austen's writing, and it can't be, because there isn't really any queerness in Austen's writing. It's absent, even though we know, thank you, Anne Lister, thank you for your diaries, that queer people were not absent in those times. And it's like what you were saying, Naomi, if Austen didn't really know about these other worlds that were existing in her time and her place, she can't write about them. Fine. But then if you're writing a historical fiction, we do know about them. We have the historical record. We know there were quite a lot of black people in Britain by that time who were maybe actually from Croydon or from Dagenham. Do you know what I mean? And we know that women's lives weren't only led in the drawing room. So what do we do about writing those other parts of the world back into the narrative when they've been left out? And I mean, you've been spending quite a lot of time in Regency England, Golda. I mean, do you feel like that's something that's happening more?
I think it goes back to what I was saying about having that modern sensibility about, you know, yourself, Shonda Rhimes, people who are living now, thinking about how do we involve everybody? How do we bring everybody to the table and allow everybody a piece of the storytelling without alienating, without suggesting anything, without putting anything in because it was X, Y, Z, just telling stories, everybody's stories. So no matter where you come from, you have an investment. You can connect. A story is connecting to you. A writer, a period is connecting to you because there's something that you can recognise in it. You know, there's something that you can connect to. It's about bringing the history into the modern. Do you know what I mean? And kind of creating a wholeness there that everybody can be involved in and everybody is welcome. You know, so it doesn't matter if you're writing about, you know, Anne Lister or, I don't know, Barack Obama or somebody from Bridgerton or somebody from Marvel. If we can reach out and say to people, hey, come on this journey with us. It's not going to be scary because we're just going to tell a story, you know, and you can comment on it however you want to. You know? And somebody who listens to this and kind of goes, oh, wow, I didn't know that it was going to be a gay story or there were going to be gay characters in it. Hey, I just listened to this thing. It was absolutely fucking brilliant. You know? And I've just read like Harry Potter or whatever, do you know what I mean? Or a gardening book. But I listened to this thing and it was recommended to me. That's how stories get passed on.
Yeah.
When people are connected and they go, I had this thing.
And they're not being actively repressed.
Yeah. Or they're not being
Which is,
over
exactly.
their head
Absolutely.
with race.
With our
or,
school system. for instance.
Yeah.
It's just all on the table for you to gorge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Well,
And I
God
think
willing.
that's the way that we need to, move forward with storytelling.
When I think about her letters, which when I was writing the script, I read her letters a lot. They're very funny and they're very clear and they're very sort of, this is what it's like. And I think she would have been completely fascinated. I don't think she would have been surprised about Margaret being queer at all, actually. I think she would have leant right into it and been, oh my goodness. Because we don't know whether word of feminism, female suffrage, things that were happening in Sweden, like early part of the 18th century. And then in the early part of the 19th century in Europe, lots of this stuff was, and she'd have met people who'd have maybe talked to her about, and even though she never talked about it, she must have felt it because I believe we are all rose-rooted. All women are rooted underneath the ground. We are all rooted, which is why she's under there, connected to this conversation in a very real way. And I think she'd be completely fascinated and also deeply honoured.
Bat for Lashes does the music. The idea was that the music didn't feel period, like a period drama, but also it didn't feel sort of achingly modern. I didn't want it to I didn't want anything to clash. I wanted it to feel really natural and as though it was going to weave its way through. And I thought, well, what if we used music that went even further back, that had always been being played by women in women's groups? I went to Stonehenge for Winter Solstice a couple of years ago. And there was just this group of women there they all wore red and they all sort of made their way to one of the stones and stood there singing and banging this drum. And it was as though all of the women at Stonehenge just sort of like zombie made their way over to watch. And I was like, oh, it needs to feel as though this music has always been played by women, by these kinds of women, by women in this space. And then Hester, one of the characters, has this spiritual element to her. I hate using the word witchy because I think it's quite reductive and it sort of puts it into an other space actually it's about power and it's about connection.
Yes.
Yeah. To the earth. To the earth and to each other. And I love Bat for Lashes' work. I love Natasha. I love the stuff that she does outside of music. She makes tarot cards and she's very part of that unit and that world.
What's so amazing about her as a musician and as a choice is that, the kind of centre, the heart of that, I think the heartland of that in terms of the role that music plays in the storytelling is the Den song. And that's where she started. And that's the first thing she wrote. She wrote it in one of those really instinctive she was kind of going, Joe, is this, literally this is,
it poured out of her,
this
didn't
has
it?
just come out. So tell me if you want something different, because this is really, it's just kind of done that, and I'm happy to try other stuff. And we listened to it, didn't we? And I kind of held my breath and sent it to you. And you wrote back immediately being like, I think it's amazing. And I was like, me too. I think it's everything. And just this kind of, really kind of primal sense of that being the right sound.
I just knew she would get it, instantly. I put it on the page. It's still in the script. It said, it should feel like these women are connecting to the fucking spirit realm.
Absolutely.
And she did. And it did. And I was like, I have that.
And then you did. When you came in and sang it.
That was
the best day. I don't know how
day.
else to summarise. We were all together. I feel like it was the first day that we all got together, right?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, where we were all in the same
Because
place.
we couldn't find a huge amount of time where we would all cross paths.
Yeah.
So it was this special day. And we all came together and
we were all
sang.
quite shy at the beginning.
Well, because we didn't really
We were
know
like,
it.
oh, we gotta
We got sent the tracks, but
Yeah.
everyone kind of rocked up a bit and here is my song.
am
And then you were like, oh
for
no,
you.
get rid of that. And then you were like, oh, and here is my song. It was wow, this is cool.
Right? And I
but
think
unexpected, like
totally
so unexpected.
It was very freeing, and it actually makes me want to go to Stonehenge and wear red.
Yeah, I think we should go.
Bang a bloody drum.
Well, you know
Yes.
what? Like,
Do you know
but it's
what I
so
mean?
funny you say that because absolutely everyone had that instinct. Everyone came up to the mic and we won't, like doing like their vibrato, and I was like, oh no, you can sound crap. It doesn't matter. That I sort of really didn't want there to be this moment where it became a musical. It had to be like these women were actually singing in this room.
Yeah.
They were doing it. Meg was kind of getting it, joining in, figuring out the words. She's not quite got them.
Yep.
We had this vision that women had always lived in that house in Soho for hundreds of years. And they were all joining in, There'd always been this moment where they would all get together and get pissed and just be so joyful that they started singing the song.
Why was it audio?
It's cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really expensive to make a film. It's a fortune.
No, I know, but the Audible, audio, radio, animation, all that kind of stuff, I always find that very interesting because you have to create every single part of the world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
I find it.
But that's what's so wonderful about it, isn't it?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
The breaths, the cries in, riding a horse in the middle of a blooming storm going.
God, could you please just
with
dismount from the horse? For me?
Yeah, exactly.
You've said
In
some
your
great
All of
things.
that, I think, is so sensational and so fabulous, and I find it a real kind of teaching element for an actor because you have to storytell with every single part of your human being.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Were we being recorded? I can't remember whether there was a camera on us while we were recording.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes
behind
we had to
the
snog
scenes.
each other and make love, and there was a camera there.
All of that.
We had to do all of that, like,
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
it was
It's fascinating how
a bit
physical
softer,
it is.
more breath.
Yeah.
It's so physical.
I think being radio, Audible, all of that stuff, I think lends itself to everything that we've talked about just now.
Yes.
And the celebration of women. It felt, for me, I was only a tiny little part, a celebration of acting, a celebration of female actors coming together and storytelling with every single being of their body, mind and soul, because of the
The format does something to you as
technical,
well.
the format
You have
of
to
it.
be present. You
Yeah,
have to
you
know
do.
exactly where you've just been and where you're going
Yeah.
to, because there's no clues.
Yeah.
We're in a black box.
Yeah,
Like, you're not in costume. You're not like in a pub or something.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to be there.
Your imagination
being a kid,
has to be
it's like being a
like
child.
on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to take my shoes off, my things off. We took our bras off, everything. Because it was just like, right, come on, sweat at the end of it.
It's such a shame we had to cut the mud wrestling scene. I know.
Yeah.
It's proper erotic.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We keep on using the word sexy and we don't use the word erotic.
It's
No.
so
It's
true.
about
Yeah.
erotic.
Hurrah.
Because
It's
that
nice.
goes deep into the sort
That's the
of
most erotic.
guts
heart
of you.
guts of
Yeah.
you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just, so
Which again is so like such a glorious exploration that you gifted us. Like just as women, we're not kind of offered that very often. It just orgasmically, it's like through the male way, which is like a big build up, it's there and then it ends. Whereas like with women, you can have little peaks and then you can keep you're offering that to us.
the
which is
troughs
just,
can be nice as well.
Yeah.
there we go.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's miles away.
I'm going peaks,
Wherever
troughs.
you,
Sorry.
whatever, however.
It's my brain. That's how my brain works. I'm so sorry.
But you gave that, you brought that, and again, that
But I'm
is-
more interested, to be honest, in the moments leading up to the bang. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think they're more interesting.
Often.
Yeah,
Often.
better.
And like,
That's the part of period drama that I love.
yeah.
Like Bridgerton, not being funny, sexy.
Yeah.
Only see a little bit later on. And then the build up
It's the
part, the
build.
tension and the feeling like the audience know what's up before the characters do is always just so
That's
much fun to
beautiful.
play
Yeah.
with. And I think that's why it lends itself so beautifully for them having sex for the first time when they're 40. It's like that thing of the weight, the desire, the tension, and stretching it out for as long as possible, because that's the real.
That's foreplay.
That's the juice. That's foreplay, baby.
Yeah, they say that's
the best bit.
true. They say some horrible things to each other. The last time they just. She's so angry and she's so indignant because she has that whole scene Nelly does with Meg where she's just like, you don't know what it's like to be me. You're rich and you've been hiding it from us this whole time. Like, Pansy, she's a tourist. You get to visit. She's a poverty tourist.
You get to visit, but you don't stay in it. And I think that actually is a really important part of the script, is like talking about intersection and like how that plays a part in feminism as well. Like how, yes, we're all kind of aiming for the same thing, but with very different perspectives, which means we have to be so open about what everyone's standards are, and what everyone's journey is and stories are. That's one of my favourite scenes, because it speaks on like the fact that what one woman is fighting for is, even though it's noble, isn't maybe a realistic goal for another woman.
Yes, indeed.
Totally.
And it's a daily survival tactic, and so you can't judge how someone else functions, because we are all under the umbrella of the patriarchy, and that means that we have to have compassion for each other while we make choices to survive underneath it and to try and thrive.
And I feel like Meg does have that on a normal day. But because desire is so like integrated into it, and like she's so hurt and she wants to hurt her back and make her feel like the way she does. But like you've got that, that line where you say, you can be a part of this world because it's fun. But like it's hell for us,
Even there, Bex, you built this incredible complexity, because you've got Nelly going, I've never wanted this, and this has always been something forced upon me that has taken away from it and complicated my relationship with my talent. But then you've got Inga, who I was just thinking about female pleasure and about the male perspective. Whenever Inga is working very hard in the background in the den, we're always hearing her. We're never hearing her clients. And part of me is thinking, she's incredibly good at her job. And part of me is thinking, well, part of her loves her job. She's brilliant at her job. She doesn't like the conditions she has to do her job in. She doesn't like the danger of that. No. But even there, where it could be so easy to tell a simple or a single story, there's this multiplicity. There are these different ways of relating to it.
And you really take that thing about money. Money, I think, is one of the most emotionally complex things in our lives, actually. And for men as well, it's not understood or talked about the role that money plays in our lives. And I think that this script is so interesting because it takes Austen's extremely clear sight about what money meant to women and the fact that they couldn't make it. So how are they going to get it? How are they going to get it? How are they going to get their hands on anything that will give them the opportunity to do something, to have any independence? Whenever I'm talking to young women, I say you must earn your own money. You have to earn your own money. And I think that there's so many different complex stories about money in this as well.
At the very top, it's sort of outlined.
Yes.
This is going to have that aspect into it. This is going to be about how women make money.
I think it's interesting that Inga is the kind of unmasked version of a lot of women who were able to marry into money.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
And it's not to call women who would marry at that time a version of a prostitute. It's not that simple, but there is a kind of masked way in the kind of pressure in those books to marry that is about money. It is about stability, and it is get in, shut your eyes, think of England, get in there.
Yeah.
So you can have a certain level of comfort. Happiness and passion rarely come into the conversation, and I think that's what makes these characters, especially Inga when she is so upfront about money, so fascinating. Because even to this day, I think when women talk about money in particular, wanting to make it, wanting to have ownership of it.
So much shame.
So much shame around it.
Yeah.
And even I can say that for myself.
Why is
wanting
that?
to, I don't know.
What is that?
I think it's because it ties into ambition and then ego.
Things that we shouldn't have.
I feel like a bit embarrassed.
Status,
wanting to be
once
seen.
It's there, do you take it or do you feel bad about taking it?
Yeah.
Because it might make you too different, or it might make you look as though you might be a little bit interested in yourself and your own success.
Yeah.
God forbid that you should ever do
What?
Shouldn't you be more?
What are you talking about? Everyone.
That is the whole
It's kind of crazy.
pattern for
Yeah.
them. That's the road.
That's
Not all
very
men want it,
clear.
of course. Of course they don't. But that's the
No.
pattern. So you go, why is
It's
it the way?
applauded. It is applauded in a way that it has not ever been, even in my own experience of being quite ambitious and feeling like I have to police myself to keep it in check. Like, calm down.
People
now.
hate it.
Also as a black
Also
woman.
as a black woman.
Like, ooh,
you have
you've
to
got to be
police
careful.
yourself even further.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you come across as angry black
Aggressive.
woman,
Yeah.
aggressive and unemployable.
Masculinized.
Just because you said, actually, no, I disagree with that. I want this.
Yeah.
And I have a right to it.
Yeah.
But I think the
shame
more
of it.
we say, no, I disagree with that, I want this, as women, whatever colour you are, shape, creed, whatever,
We have
things
to
will
keep-
start to change.
Yeah, and we have to keep asking ourselves what it is we actually want.
That's a very good question.
Because often I think we don't know.
But I think
And
it's
I look at-
moment by moment.
Yes, I think that's really
Situation
true.
by situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have to weigh up what is right for you and what is right for the future by making your decision. Do you know what I mean?
But I think our mothers and our grandmothers never asked.
They
I don't
don't.
think they would.
No.
If you'd said, I mean, I can say to my mother now, and I could certainly say to my grandmother, who thought that sex was a terrible thing because men just needed to do it, and she felt sorry for them, had never had good sex. You know, people in my family just caught in this awful thing of, well, what if you asked them, what do you want, Mum? She said, well, I don't understand the
know.
question.
Wow.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's
fine.
not about
It
me.
doesn't
It's
matter.
not
It
about
doesn't
me.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I do that.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to catch ourselves. Very
I do that
important.
all the time.
Just
So
mind.
And then the radicalism of Nelly knowing what she wants and what she wants being actually to feel the full power of her talent
Yes.
in the space and at
God.
the scale
Joy,
that it
joy.
deserves.
Yeah.
I was having this little fantasy about, so what happens next? They're only in their 50s. And I was thinking about, it's Ira Aldridge, isn't it?
Yes.
The black American actor who was touring Britain and Europe in the 1850s. And I was like, but I bet Nelly would love a little bite of America. You know, she does Lear down in Devon, and then she goes, "Oh, that feels good." Meg, do you fancy a trip? You know, Why would, with all of the fulfillment of passion and the discovery of that, why would it end there?
Yeah.
Bex.
It's actually so funny to think about those books being radical at the time.
Yeah, it's
they
because
were.
they've been diluted.
Yes.
Like over the
Yes.
years, they've sort of become romanticized, and Austen has become a kind of genre that actually has nothing to do with her writing or her observations or her forensic detail. It's, you know, Empire line dresses and bobbing up and down in country houses, you know, and people think they know, but they don't know, you know, it's like a sort of, bastardized version in their brain. But actually, it's just, it was radical, it was forward thinking, it was full of wit and independence and... Yeah, so of course.
And social comment. Dear
Social
God,
comment,
she really
yeah.
says this is what this person is like.
Yeah.
And just take a look.
Yeah.
Maggots and all.
And pomposity.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, the best characters are always the ones who are just completely status obsessed. And, you know,
so much fun.
they're just up their own arse. It's so fabulous. Yeah,
Hilarious.
exactly.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
She's so funny. That's the thing.
She's so funny.
She's so funny. And you are so funny. Thank goodness. You couldn't have done this if you weren't all so funny.
Yeah. No,
None of this
yeah.
can happen without the wit and the humour and the you know, because it's hilarious.
I think as well, there's an interesting thing about the fact that I decided, the first thing I thought as well was, oh, she can't be young. Like, we can't start this. She has to be older than Anne in Persuasion, because everyone thought that Anne in Persuasion was doomed. Because she was 27, she wasn't married. Everyone was panicked. It was hectic. So she has to be older than that. Everyone has. So her mother has to be like completely
Besides
up in arms, you know, what is going to happen to this poor girl. And, you know, then you find out, of course, she has that conversation with Mrs. Dashwood where she says, I just worry you'll be lonely. I think you'll be lonely. Like, oh, that does make sense then, that they are running around like headless chickens trying to marry their daughters off.
But that being lonely thing was another queer-coded moment for me as well. Because,
Yes.
again, even in late 90s, early noughties, there was this sense of, you know, queer relationships. They don't have the staying power. You know, you don't really have. You know, representationally, you weren't seeing women who had loved each other already for kind of
all their
10,
life.
15
Or if
years.
they were not out in public.
No,
Exactly. Yeah. And that concern, that kind of societal, you know, if you weren't going, this is disgusting, you were going, but it's just so sad. And so that makes it a very, very tender, very real moment between mother and daughter, even though mother doesn't know necessarily how deep her fear goes for her daughter. But that idea that if you're not finding a man, then you're not finding true connection and you're not finding true love.
You don't have children.
If you don't
Well,
have
that's
children.
another one, isn't it?
And isn't that the same as today?
Yeah.
Oh,
it absolutely
Oh, it's all stuff that
is.
I've been told or I've been asked. You know, all of it's in there.
I've been told things like, because I mean, I've developed over that time, but I never, as a young girl, dreamt of getting married or having kids. My only thing was, I'm going to be an actress, and that's it. Like, it's the only thing I could daydream about. And I remember being like, kids, no way. That sounds like a drag. And I remember like having conversations with people my age, older, of the soft version is when you meet the right guy, you'll change your mind. And then the hard version is, well, what point is there of you being a woman if you don't have children? I was told that by someone my own age. I remember in college. Really? Being like, well, or you're being selfish if you don't have a child.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to think that, again, in a similar way to how if you're a woman of colour, you are naturally politicized without even attempting to be, you just are. That as a woman, you hold an inherent responsibility to be maternal before you've even had a choice to want to do that. That somehow is inherently in you, when it's just as valid to...
Absolutely. And essential.
Yeah.
Essential.
And essential.
Yeah. Childless people are hugely important to children.
Yes.
Absolutely, because they're not doing the parental maternal thing. They're just much freer, and they're there, and they're my gay aunts and uncles were so vital to me, and they didn't have kids. They just were they were such sources of wisdom and inspiration and fun and a kind of open mind. You know, fantastic. I was very lucky, really. But I'm a different generation to you, and I didn't want kids. Didn't occur to me.
Just doesn't pop in your head.
It didn't occur to me. I didn't want to do that. I looked at children and I thought exactly the same thing. I thought, that looks like really hard work. So I'm going to do something more fun. Yeah, for me, la 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 la. I don't think. And it was not a thing of, it just didn't occur to me. And getting married? No.
Yeah.
Why?
Done it twice. Stupid, really.
Right, you live and learn, babe. You live and learn.
Mate.
Sense and Sensibility was such a huge pop culture moment. Watching you play Eleanor, you know, it was a huge deal. When I heard that there was a possibility that you were going to be involved, I mean, you should know that this is your legacy. I was like, how do I write about things that will mean that Emma Thompson won't want to say no? And all of those things were things that were fucking important to women, you know. And I was like, if I make this political, if I make this about the way that women are treated in their jobs and the way that, you know, and the way that the patriarchy operates, there's just no way that she'll say no. And,
You were right.
no, but knowing that about yourself, you know, it's so inspiring and, you know, it's fucking cool as well.
Oh, good. Well, thank you very much. I'm so embarrassed.
I know. I knew you would be.
Literally, you know when you put salt on a slug? That's what's happening to my inside. I'm really bad at it, and again, we need to sort of...
That's what we need to sort out, so we're going to reframe that here.
It's bad, isn't it?
Celebrate it, girl. Stand tall. Put your chest out.
And
your
also,
heart.
selfishly, we get it then because we want to tell you. Let us have that.
Have the joy of telling you this.
telling you what you mean.
Okay.
Done your work, girl.
Done my work.
Yeah.
Do you know
True.
what? That's a really good way of putting it. because I'm old now, and
you
you
will
go,
continue
that's
to
good.
do it.
No, I am, but that's good.
That's
Naomi,
fine,
that's
yeah.
good.
You know,
I will.
and we need you to.
Yeah.
But I'm
Because
so
we're
glad.
coming up and we're being, you know, inspired by you and what you've done and what you will continue to do. So please don't be stopping anytime soon.
Thank you so much.
It's like the elevator being sent back down.
Yeah, girl.
But people don't do that.
But
And
you're in
you
the
should always
elevator,
meet your heroes.
and when the doors open, you're like, "Come on,
yeah,
come
get
in! What's going on?
in.
Come on, champagne! Yeah, get a bottle of champagne."
Yes, that's the key, actually. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. It is odd being, you know, I'm 66 now, and it's a very interesting age. I do recommend the 60s because it's the sort of, who was asking me actually just earlier on today what it was like playing Margaret. And I said, well, you know, it's wonderful to look back and think, oh, God, yeah, that was stupid, that was a bit of an idiot, but oh, no, that was all right. But also have that wisdom, actually. And I will use the word wisdom because I am much, much wiser now than I was, you know, and I've made loads of mistakes. But when I hear you say that I've meant something to you, then I feel like everything has been worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes me feel so good, so good, and I'm so grateful to you. I can't tell you what it means to me.
I had you on my list of people to work with, and to be able to make love to you was one of the greatest moments of my career. Like Emma Thompson, you don't know Audible. You don't know the list of British female actors I've had on my list for a long, long time. Emma Thompson, right at the top, and I get to kiss her.
Who was second? Oh.
Kate.
Oh, wow.
Well, you're all on the same kind of, you know, Kate, Sarah Lancashire, I think would be really interesting.
Yeah,
to work
obsessed.
with, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Phoebe
so
Halls,
brilliant.
Like, you know, really fucking yes. But my agent was like, okay, this thing's come out and it's for Alderman, it's with Emma Thompson. I was like, yes!
Yeah,
And then he said,
it's the same thing.
you have to make and you have to make love to her. I was like, whoa! Yeah!
That's the exact right energy for this piece.
Come on!
That is it.
Where do I sign?
Contains scenes of a sexual nature, which some viewers may find offensive.
Find arousing.